Yo, today I've got a review of the new Yeat album, AfterLyfe. I would consider myself a pretty big fan of Yeat, so whenever he drops, I'm always excited. I thought the Life EP he dropped was solid, it was decent, and had some good moments. And on the follow-up, this album here, AfterLyfe, he continues to go down the path of dark-sounding music. Yeat has quietly been developing his sound and evolving, and here we see the latest edition of what he's been working on. If you go back and listen to 4L and Up To Me, you'll notice how the bangers from the project sound. They're generally loud, the melodies are the main aspect, and there are a lot of synths, and I mean a lot of synths. On AfterLyfe though, the bangers don't quite bang as much, if that's a way to say it. I mean, just go to songs like Watch. Yeat is nowhere near as energetic, the song is generally quieter and darker, it's more stripped back. Although yes, I do like this song, in general I'm not a huge fan of this type of sound. Now okay, bear with me, I'm gonna get into the positives in a little bit. I think even on Life and on AfterLyfe there is a lot more filler due to this change. The highs, I mean look, you can argue that they are higher than even on Up To Me or past Yeat projects. I will get into the highs in a little bit, but the median and average of the project is more dull, if that makes any sense. Here we have 22 songs, which isn't all that uncommon for a Yeat album, but he doesn't carry it out that well. That's mainly because of the filler tracks on this album. Songs generally like Heavyweight,
I hold my weight.
and the awful, and I mean awful, Mean Fiend. Don't touch any of the bangers from Up To Me and 4L. Although I will say there are still some of the more simple tracks like that still sound good, like Split and How It Go. However, Yeat over here, the boy Noah, has a little trick up his sleeve. He actually decided to experiment with a handful of these songs, and those tend to be my favorite Yeat songs. That's why I have so much hope in Yeat. Songs like Can't Stop It from Life, Lying for Fun from Up To Me, and Already Dead, which is an unreleased track, are some of my favorite songs from him. And oh yeah, when I heard the intro from this album, I was very happy. Yeat is starting to tap into that aspect of his music. As his albums go on, we see more and more tracks like this where he veers away from what he usually does. On the intro, No More Talk, I like the instrumental. It's more stripped back and simple, which I know I said I wasn't a big fan of, but Yeat absolutely makes up for it here. It doesn't feel like he's fighting with himself about which type of sound he should go with. He completely commits to a newer sound, and I mean it works. He has some cool flows here, and the little break before we get into the chorus honestly sounds amazing. Yeat is harmonizing with auto-tune on, with his trademark high-pitched vocals, and it's one of my favorite things Yeat has ever done. Another one of these type of songs is Better Off. I still feel like he's kind of fighting on here whether to commit to his older sound or stick with this, but the instrumental here is great, the drums especially. And then we got the big boy. The big boy, the big daddy, None Night Change. Yeat attempts a spacious house song and mixes it with hip-hop with his performance over it, and guess what? It might just be the best song he's released, okay? It might just be. This works incredibly well. It feels intoxicated, it's dark, it's bouncy. Yeat switches up his flows and delivery enough so that it doesn't get boring. It's genuinely the whole package. And he follows that up with Now, which may be the saddest song he's released. The chorus is catchy, and okay, yeah, trust me, I know. When I woke up the next day after listening to this album, the chorus to Now was all I had in my head. The beat is trippy, and Yeat's flows and deliveries on here are cool. He has parts where he stretches out his vocals a bit, and also parts where he does the fast flow thing he's been doing on this album so far. We also have the outro, Myself, which I would put in this category of songs which are different from what Yeat usually does. He has these pretty raw drums, very uncharacteristic for trap or rage, and it's pretty beautiful sounding. We even see progression in this song as it goes on with more stuff being introduced instrumentally, like the strings that come in, bringing a lot of emotion to this track, making it feel a bit powerful and overwhelming. And I have to say, it's one of Yeat's best outros. And it's this that I want to see more from Yeat. He attempts something new on a lot of these songs, and it goes down well. On every one of his albums, whenever he tried something different than the rage stuff he does, it's always up there as my favorite tracks from that project. And I think I've talked about this track in another video, but Died Before is an unreleased Yeat song that leaked, and it's still my favorite thing he's done. I want him to do more stuff like that. Drugged out, intoxicated, he knows what he's going for and sticks with it. He does vocal harmonies that sound great, and it's an amazing song. We see a little bit of that on here, but he fails to commit to it for the whole album. And we need to talk about the length for a little bit. 22 songs. Come on, man. I know he's handled it before, but this is a lot of music, and I think every artist would struggle to fill out the length. And especially when you're bringing more of what you're usually giving to your fans, yeah, it won't go down that well. As I said, he does try a lot of stuff on here, but a lot of the stuff is also in the similar field in which he is already in. If this project was shorter, it would have been way better, but the length drags it down a lot. It's tough to get through. I feel like Yeat needs an executive producer, to be honest. He needs someone to be straight up with him and guide him to make the music he's got potential to be making. We've seen him make experimental songs, songs that are out there compared to the rest of his discography, but with the last 3 albums he's done, he's been filling his project with filler, and AfterLyfe is no different. Having an executive producer, someone in the studio to tell him no, I think can be very beneficial for it. Someone who doesn't care about how much streams he's going to generate because of how many tracks there are on the project and forcing him to put 20 songs on it. Just straight up, someone who's gonna help him be more selective of tracks, tell him what gets in the album and what gets left out. Of course, not take full control. Yeat should still be in control of that, but he should be able to guide him. We see a good bit of filler on AfterLyfe, which makes it hard to enjoy it as a whole album. There are plenty of great moments like the tracks I've listed throughout this video, but the amount of tracks here makes it harder to get through it. Before we get into my favorite tracks though, make sure you like and subscribe. Alright, let's get into it. For my favorite tracks, I'd have to start with No More Talk. I love what Yeat does on here. Night Night Change, probably my favorite song that he's released. Now, probably the saddest sounding song that he's released. Split, if you want to pick out a banger from this album, then this is the one. And Myself, a great outro to the album. AfterLyfe is a mixed bag. Some of it is forgettable, but some of it is pretty interesting and out there, which I commend. Yeat attempts some new things on here, and that's 100% the direction that he should be taking. On the majority of tracks where he experimented, he sounds great and makes for interesting songs. However, he has issues with detaching himself from his old sound and ends up making an overly long project. I'm gonna have to give this album a strong 6 out of 10. But yeah, that's it for my review. If you liked this album, tell me why. If you didn't, also tell me why. I'm looking to hear you guys' opinions. I also ranked every song from this project, so check that out if you want to. And please make sure you like and subscribe. That will mean so much to me as it helps push my video and my channel into the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next time. Peace!